He gave up millions for her. Everyone said, "This is love." But she's gone. Because at that moment, love stopped being a choice and became a duty. And duty kills desire faster than betrayal. Clara Whitman woke at 5:45, the way she always did, before the alarm had a chance to shatter the silence. She dressed in the dark, gray cardigan, neutral blouse, practical trousers, each piece selected for its ability to disappear into any room. The apartment breathed around her, pipes clanking 2 floors above, a television murmuring through the wall, the refrigerator humming its constant mechanical prayer. She ate standing at the counter. Toast, black tea, an apple sliced into precise quarters. The kitchen held duplicates of everything, 2 mugs, 2 plates, 2 forks aligned in the drawer. She had purchased them 3 years ago during a brief surge of optimism, believing someday they might prove useful. The second mug gathered dust. By 6:30, Clara walked her route to the municipal archives. 3 blocks north, 2 blocks east, avoiding the busier intersections where crowds required navigation. The building squatted between a courthouse and a parking structure, its windows narrow and grudging with light. Inside, fluorescent tubes hummed overhead, never quite bright enough to banish shadows, never dim enough to offer relief. Her desk sat in the back corner, flanked by filing cabinets labeled by decade. She cataloged permits, zoning amendments, property transfers, documents people needed desperately once and never thought about again. The work suited her. It required precision without creativity, attention without interpretation. No one praised her, but no one criticized her either. She had been there 7 years. At 9:15, Margaret from Land Use paused at Clara's desk, holding a stack of misfiled deeds. "Could you sort these when you have a moment?" Margaret's voice carried apologetic warmth. "You're so steady with this stuff." Clara accepted the papers without comment. Margaret smiled, already turning away, the request forgotten before she reached the elevator. The compliment landed with familiar weight. Steady. Reliable. Pleasant. Words that described furniture more often than people. Clara opened the first file and began cross-referencing dates. The afternoon passed in increments, documents sorted, emails answered, a brief lunch eaten at her desk while reading news she would forget by evening. At 4:30, she logged off, wiped crumbs from her keyboard, and adjusted her chair to the precise angle she preferred. Outside, the city sprawled gray and indifferent beneath gathering clouds. Clara took the bus to her mother's apartment, a cramped unit in a building held together by deferred maintenance and tenant complaints. She knocked twice before using her key. "It's me, Mom." The hallway smelled of boiled vegetables and old carpet. Clara expected to find her mother in the living room, television volume too high, complaining about the landlord's latest negligence. Instead, she found the kitchen transformed. The leaky tap no longer dripped. The cabinet door hung straight on new hinges. Groceries lined the counter in neat rows: bread, milk, canned soup, vegetables washed and stored in clear containers. Jonah Hale sat at the small table, sleeves rolled to his elbows, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. Clara's mother, Evelyn, gestured toward him with the casual authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. Jonah came by to fix the tap. Stayed to help with groceries. Clara set her bag down slowly. "You didn't mention the tap was broken." "Didn't want to bother you." Jonah stood, not abruptly, but with the economical movement of someone aware of space and his place in it. He wore work clothes, canvas trousers stained with paint, a faded shirt patched at one elbow. Dust clung to his boots. "Your mother mentioned her doctor's appointment got moved up," he said. "Wanted to make sure she had food she could manage." Evelyn waved a dismissive hand. "He's being modest. Fixed 3 things I didn't even ask about." Clara studied Jonah's face, broad, unguarded, marked by small scars along his knuckles and forearms. He did not smile for reassurance or wait for praise. He simply stood there, present without apology. "Thank you," Clara said, the words inadequate but honest. Jonah nodded once. "I'll get out of your way." He moved toward the door, pausing only to tell Evelyn when the hardware store would deliver the replacement showerhead she needed. After he left, Evelyn returned to her chair, settling with a grunt of satisfaction. That boy doesn't waste words. Clara opened the refrigerator, inspecting the organized contents. Everything labeled, dated, arranged for easy access. He didn't need to do this. No, Evelyn agreed. But he did anyway. 3 weeks later, Clara attended a dinner at her cousin Margaret Lewis's home, a spacious colonial with hardwood floors and framed art purchased from galleries rather than catalogs. The dining room table seated 12. Crystal glasses refracted candlelight into geometric patterns across white linen. Jonah arrived 15 minutes early, hair still damp from washing, wearing his best shirt, plain, pressed, unremarkable. He shook hands with Margaret's husband, complimented the house without embellishment, and accepted a glass of water. The other guests arrived in waves, Margaret's colleagues from the law firm, Clara's uncle and his second wife, two couples whose names Clara forgot immediately. Conversation flowed around topics Clara recognized as performance, vacation homes, private schools, investment portfolios discussed with practiced casualness. Jonah listened without contributing, his attention focused on his plate. Midway through the main course, Margaret's husband, Douglas, leaned forward. "Jonah, what line of work keeps you busy?" "Construction. Restoration projects, mostly." "Interesting." Douglas sipped wine, his expression pleasant. "Any plans to move into project management?" "Oversight." Jonah cut his chicken with deliberate care. "I prefer working with my hands." Silence expanded, filled only by the clink of silverware. Margaret intervened with practiced diplomacy. "There's dignity in manual labor. My father always said skilled tradespeople keep the world functioning." Her tone carried the faint condescension of someone praising a child's drawing. Clara's uncle, Richard, cleared his throat. "Still, a man with ambition considers advancement. Especially when," he glanced at Clara, the implication landing without completion. Clara set down her fork. "Jonah's work requires skill most people don't have. He restored a Victorian staircase last month using techniques from 1873. Took him 6 weeks." The table received this information politely, nodding without interest. Margaret touched Clara's wrist, her smile indulgent. "We're just concerned, sweetheart. You're so bright, so capable. We want to make sure you're building the kind of future you deserve." Clara met her cousin's gaze. "I'm building the future I want." "Of course." Margaret withdrew her hand. "We only worry because we love you." Jonah stood abruptly. "Let me help clear plates." He gathered dishes with efficient movements, disappearing into the kitchen before anyone could protest. Through the doorway, Clara watched him scrape plates, rinse glasses, stack everything with quiet precision. The conversation resumed without him, sliding toward safer topics. Later, in Clara's apartment, she sat on the edge of her bed while Jonah removed his shoes. "You didn't need to defend me," he said. "They were being condescending." "I know." He aligned his shoes against the wall. "Doesn't bother me." Clara pulled her knees to her chest. "It bothers me." Jonah crossed the room, sitting beside her without touching. "They think I'm not good enough for you." "They're wrong." "Maybe." His voice carried no bitterness. "But you heard them. They're worried about your future." "Our future?" Jonah turned his head, meeting her eyes. "Is it?" The question hung between them, neither accusation nor plea. Clara reached for his hand, lacing their fingers together. His palm bore new calluses, rough against her skin. "Yes," she said. But later, alone in the dark, doubt crept in with the subtlety of cold air through poorly sealed windows. She replayed the dinner, heard again the concern framed as love, the implication that choosing Jonah meant choosing less. Clara had spent her life being told she possessed potential, teachers, family, colleagues, all insisting she could achieve more if she tried harder, reached higher, wanted better. The praise had trained her to fear wasting herself. Jonah offered no upward trajectory, no narrative of improvement. He was simply himself, consistent and complete. Was that enough? The question felt disloyal even as it formed. Beside her, Jonah slept, his breathing steady and unhurried. Clara closed her eyes, willing herself toward rest, but sleep evaded her until dawn broke gray through the curtains. Over the following month, Clara noticed patterns she had previously overlooked. Jonah never mentioned his childhood. When Clara asked about his family, he offered brief, deflecting answers, not close anymore, or complicated, before steering conversation elsewhere. He avoided discussing money beyond immediate expenses. When Clara suggested a weekend trip, Jonah demurred, citing work commitments rather than cost. His silence felt protective rather than secretive, as if he carried something heavy he refused to share. One evening, while Jonah repaired Clara's bathroom faucet, she pressed gently. "You never talk about where you grew up." His hand stilled on the wrench. "Not much to tell. Everyone has something." Jonah tightened the fixture, testing the seal. Some stories don't improve with repetition. Clara watched him work, his movements precise and unhurried. "I'm not asking for entertainment. I'm asking because I want to know you." He dried his hands on a towel, folding it with unnecessary care. "You know me. I know who you are now. Not how you got here." Jonah met her gaze, something unreadable flickering across his expression. "The person I was doesn't matter. This," he gestured between them. "This is what matters." Clara wanted to argue, to insist the past shaped the present, but Jonah's face held a quiet finality she had learned not to challenge. She let it go. But the gaps remained, shadows in a room she thought she understood. The cafe sat 3 blocks from Jonah's current project, a narrow space with chipped mugs and mismatched chairs. Clara arrived early, carrying sandwiches wrapped in paper, hoping to surprise him during his lunch break. While waiting, she heard voices from the back room, polished, authoritative, unmistakably wealthy. A man spoke first, his tone measured and certain. "This has gone on long enough, Jonah." Clara froze, sandwich forgotten. Through the partially open service door, she glimpsed 2 figures, a man in his 60s wearing a tailored suit, a woman beside him dressed in elegant neutrals. They sat with the composed posture of people accustomed to being listened to. Jonah's voice, low and controlled. "I'm not interested in revisiting this." The woman, Elena, Clara would later piece together, leaned forward. "We're offering you a future, not punishment. Full inheritance, restored connections, everything you walked away from." "I know what you're offering." The man, Richard, placed a folder on the table between them. 500,000 immediately. Another 2 million over 5 years. The house in Ashford, the investment portfolio, board positions at 3 companies. Clara's heart hammered against her ribs. The numbers felt obscene, impossible, large enough to rewrite entire lives. The condition remained simple, Richard continued. "End this relationship. Return to the family. Resume the life you were meant for." Silence stretched, vast and suffocating. Elena's voice softened, acquiring the dangerous gentleness of sympathy. "Clara seems kind. Temporary. But fundamentally unsuitable. You're punishing yourself, and eventually, you'll punish her too." Clara pressed her palm against the wall, steadying herself. "People like her recover quickly," Elena continued. "She'll find someone appropriate. Someone who doesn't require her to lower her expectations." The dismissal landed with surgical precision, not cruel, simply factual. Clara waited for Jonah's response, for anger, or defense or outright rejection. Instead, silence. The pause lengthened, filling with implications Clara's mind raced to interpret. Hesitation meant consideration. Consideration meant temptation. Temptation meant she had already lost. Her legs moved without conscious instruction, carrying her toward the exit. She left the sandwiches on the counter, walked past tables where strangers ate lunch unaware that worlds were collapsing nearby. Outside, the afternoon sun felt too bright, too ordinary for devastation. Clara walked without direction, her pulse roaring in her ears, drowning out traffic and conversation and the desperate logic trying to form arguments she would never voice. She would not wait to be chosen against money. She would not ask Jonah to prove her worth against inheritance. She would not make herself smaller than numbers large enough to buy futures. By the time Clara reached her apartment, she had convinced herself the decision was already made. What she overheard was fate asserting itself, not a negotiation in progress. Her family despised him for his rough hands and simple work. His family offered millions for him to find his peers. They thought it was a failed romance. But they didn't know the main thing: he had already made his choice. And this choice angered everyone. And then she made a mistake that undid everything. Even his sacrifice. She belonged to modest work, neutral clothing, duplicates gathering dust in kitchen drawers. Jonah belonged to a world that could offer him everything she could not. The trap closed quietly, mistaking withdrawal for wisdom, silence for certainty, and unspoken love for something too fragile to survive scrutiny. Clara Whitman withdrew her application to the Regional Management Training Program on a Tuesday morning, typing the email in 3 drafts before settling on language stripped of explanation. The program director responded within an hour, expressing surprise and offering to discuss her decision. Clara deleted the message without replying. She had submitted the application 6 months earlier, after Jonah encouraged her to pursue advancement she consistently dismissed as impractical. He had read through her materials, pointing out places where she undersold her experience, insisting her competence deserved recognition. The acceptance letter arrived 3 weeks ago. Clara filed it between insurance documents and tax returns, unopened, until yesterday. Now the opportunity dissolved into sent mail, erased as efficiently as she had once embraced it. At work, Clara requested permanent assignment to the off-site storage facility, a converted warehouse 15 miles from downtown where older records moldered in climate-controlled obscurity. The position meant solitude, irregular hours, and physical distance from colleagues who might ask questions. Margaret from Land Use frowned when Clara mentioned the transfer. "You'll be alone out there most days." "I prefer it." Margaret hesitated, clearly weighing whether to press further. "If you're sure." Clara signed the paperwork the same afternoon. The apartment transformed incrementally. She moved the kitchen table against the wall, creating space where 2 chairs once faced each other. The duplicate mugs migrated to the cabinet's highest shelf, out of sight. She stopped buying the dark roast coffee Jonah preferred, returning to the bland breakfast blend she drank before meeting him. Each alteration felt necessary, surgical. Evidence of shared routines demanded removal. Clara told herself she was reclaiming her space, though reclamation implied ownership she had never fully claimed. Her toothbrush disappeared into the medicine cabinet. The bedroom pillows, once arranged for 2, stacked neatly on one side of the bed. Nothing dramatic occurred. Only subtraction. Jonah's first call came on Thursday evening. Clara watched her phone vibrate against the counter, his name illuminated beneath cracked glass. She counted 7 rings before silence returned. The voicemail notification appeared moments later. Clara pressed play, then immediately regretted it. Jonah's voice carried none of the anger she half expected, only careful restraint. "Clara, I need to understand what's happening. Please call me." She listened twice, parsing each word for subtext, searching for confirmation of things unsaid. The message revealed nothing except his confusion, and his assumption she owed him explanation. Clara deleted it. Over the following days, texts accumulated. Short messages, devoid of accusation, asking only for conversation. She read each one, crafted responses designed to sound both kind and final, but sent none. Every draft felt like negotiation, and negotiation required vulnerability she could no longer afford. Silence became easier than honesty. If she explained her reasoning, Jonah would counter it. If she revealed what she overheard, he would offer context she did not want to hear. Distance protected her from being convinced she mattered when evidence suggested otherwise. She convinced herself disappearance was mercy, for him, for both of them. Jonah could return to his family's world unencumbered. Clara could rebuild her modest life without mourning what she was never meant to keep. Avoidance felt like kindness. In truth, it was fear dressed in careful logic. Evelyn called on Sunday afternoon, her voice sharp with maternal suspicion. Jonah came by yesterday asking if you were ill. Clara pressed the phone against her shoulder, continuing to fold laundry. I'm fine. He seemed worried. There's nothing to worry about. Silence stretched across the line, heavy with implication. Evelyn had perfected the art of disapproval through strategic quiet. You've decided something without telling me, her mother said finally. It's my decision to make. Doesn't mean it's the right one. Clara set down a folded shirt, her hands suddenly unsteady. Mom, I appreciate your concern, but this doesn't involve you. Everything involving you involves me. Evelyn's tone softened marginally. He fixed the heating vent last week without being asked. Good men don't grow on trees, Clara. I'm aware. Are you? The question landed with surgical precision. Clara ended the call shortly after, citing work obligations neither of them believed. Afterward, she sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the wall where Jonah had patched a crack 3 months ago. His work remained visible, careful, thorough, unmarked by ego. She wondered if he would patch the damage she had created with equal care, or if some fractures proved too deliberate to repair. Maya Collins invited Clara to lunch the following Wednesday, choosing a bistro Clara had never visited, neutral territory, strategically selected. They ordered salads neither of them wanted, engaging in pleasantries while tension accumulated beneath polite conversation. Midway through the meal, Maya set down her fork. Everyone's noticed you've been different. Clara stabbed lettuce with unnecessary force. Different how? Quieter. More withdrawn. Maya's expression carried practiced sympathy. We're worried about you. I'm fine. You ended things with Jonah. The statement hung between them, neither question nor accusation. Clara met her friend's gaze without flinching. Yes. Maya nodded slowly, as if confirming a diagnosis. I'm not going to say I told you so. But you're thinking it. I'm thinking you made a practical choice. Maya leaned forward, lowering her voice to convey intimacy. Relationships require compatibility beyond chemistry. You were investing in someone without a clear future. Clara's jaw tightened. He had a future. Did he? Or did you imagine one for him? The question struck harder than intended. Clara recognized the logic, she had employed similar reasoning herself. Hearing it articulated by someone else made it sound cruel rather than pragmatic. You're too grounded for someone like Jonah, Maya continued. He was charming, I'm sure, but charm doesn't pay bills or build security. You deserve someone stable, someone who matches your ambition. Clara wanted to argue, to defend Jonah's quiet competence and unshakable reliability. Instead, she nodded, accepting the narrative being constructed around her withdrawal. You're probably right. Maya smiled, relief washing across her features. You'll feel better soon. Give it time. After lunch, Clara walked home through streets suddenly unfamiliar despite years of navigation. Her friend's reassurance echoed in her mind, validating choices Clara had made for entirely different reasons. She wondered if this was healing, or if she had simply learned to mistake resignation for peace. Clara saw Jonah on a Saturday afternoon, entirely by accident. She had taken a different route to the pharmacy, avoiding their usual cafe, when movement across the street caught her attention. Jonah stood outside a community center, surrounded by 3 people Clara did not recognize. He gestured toward scaffolding erected against the building's facade, explaining something with the focused intensity she remembered from watching him work. He laughed, genuinely, unreservedly, at something one of his companions said. Clara froze mid-step, groceries weighing heavily in her arms. Jonah appeared whole, undamaged, functioning perfectly without her. No visible grief marked his posture or expression. He moved through the world as if nothing fundamental had shifted. The sight struck her harder than his absence ever had. If Jonah could stand in afternoon sunlight, laughing with colleagues, unmarked by loss, then Clara's presence in his life must have been negligible. Temporary. Easily replaced. She turned away before he could notice her, walking quickly in the opposite direction. Her chest constricted, breath coming shallow and quick. The assumption settled with brutal efficiency: love does not leave scars on people who never needed it. Clara told herself she was relieved. The story had ended cleanly, both of them moving forward without complication. The relief felt indistinguishable from grief. 2 weeks later, Clara's co-worker Linda mentioned Jonah during their cigarette break. Though Clara had never smoked, she had started accompanying Linda outside for the company. "Heard your ex is seeing someone new," Linda said, exhaling smoke into cold air. Clara's hands stilled around her coffee cup. "Where did you hear this?" "Friend of a friend. Said he was at some gallery opening last weekend with a woman. Looked pretty cozy. No name. No details." The vagueness allowed Clara's imagination to construct narratives sharper than truth. She pictured Jonah with someone polished, articulate, someone whose life aligned seamlessly with expectations Clara could never meet. "Good for him," Clara said, her voice flat. Linda glanced sideways, assessing. "You okay?" "Fine." The rumor became evidence, confirmation that Jonah's life continued smoothly without her. The possibility that he might still grieve never occurred to Clara. Grief, in her understanding, belonged exclusively to the person left behind. She returned to work, filed documents with mechanical precision, and did not think about gallery openings or women whose faces she would never see. Or tried not to. That night, Clara attempted closure. She sat cross-legged on her apartment floor, a candle burning on the coffee table. The ritual felt performative, borrowed from self-help articles promising emotional resolution through visualization. Clara closed her eyes, imagining a door, heavy, wooden, final. Jonah stood on the other side, separated by something tangible she could control. She rehearsed acceptance, gratitude for what they shared, acknowledgement of incompatibility, graceful farewell. She pictured herself opening the door, bowing slightly in respect, then closing it with gentle finality. Instead of relief, pain flared sharp and sudden in her chest, physical, disorienting, impossible to dismiss. Her breath caught. Eyes opened. If the story was truly over, why did it still hurt this much? The exercise collapsed. Clara blew out the candle, watching smoke curl toward the ceiling. Closure, apparently, could not be performed on command. It required something she did not possess, perhaps honesty, perhaps courage, perhaps simply time she had not yet survived. She went to bed with the door still open, haunted by questions she refused to voice. Clara Whitman attended a civic fundraiser on Thursday evening, obligated by her supervisor's last-minute illness. The event occupied the city library's main atrium, a sprawling space with marble floors and tall windows admitting late afternoon light. She arrived carrying a clipboard and wearing her most anonymous gray dress, prepared to fade into the margins while collecting donor information. The room hummed with controlled conversations. Donors circulated between refreshment tables and informational displays, their voices cultured, their clothing expensive in understated ways. Clara positioned herself near the sculpture garden exhibit, pen ready, shoulders angled slightly inward to discourage approach. She had spent weeks constructing explanations for Jonah's silence, building narratives where his family's wealth ultimately proved too seductive to resist. The inheritance had represented everything Clara could never offer: security, status, belonging in a world she neither understood nor wanted. Losing him to money made sense. It fit neatly into stories about class and inevitability. The thought had become familiar enough to function as comfort. Near the atrium center, two donors stood examining a bronze sculpture. Clara recognized them from the guest list, foundation board members, wealthy enough to warrant special attention. Their conversation carried across marble with unexpected clarity. "Remarkable, really," the older man said, adjusting his glasses. "Never seen someone refuse money quite like that." Clara's pen stilled against paper. "Julian Cross's son." The woman beside him sipped wine, her expression thoughtful. "The board meeting must have been extraordinary." "Extraordinary doesn't cover it. 500,000 up front, millions more over time, properties, positions, everything." He walked in, listened to the full offer, and declined without hesitation. Clara's heart hammered against her ribs. The atrium continued around her, Servers passing champagne, conversations overlapping, classical music drifting from hidden speakers. No one paused. The world refused to acknowledge that something fundamental had shifted. Did he negotiate? The woman asked. Not even once. Richard Cross laid out the terms, and Jonah, the man, shook his head, admiration coloring his tone. He thanked them politely and said no. Walked out before they could respond. Clara gripped the clipboard with both hands, afraid she might drop it. When was this? 3 weeks ago. Maybe 4. The board's still reeling. They expected bargaining, counteroffers, some kind of discussion. Instead, he rejected the inheritance outright and left. Didn't even ask for time to consider. The woman laughed softly. What kind of person refuses millions without blinking? The kind who understands what money costs. Clara's mind raced backward, rewriting history with brutal efficiency. 3 weeks ago. She had been at the cafe, listening through the partially open door, hearing numbers large enough to rewrite lives. She had fled before Jonah answered, convinced his silence meant temptation. But there had been no silence. There had been immediate, unequivocal refusal. She had left before hearing the truth, interpreting hesitation where none existed. The donors moved on, their conversation shifting to safer topics. Clara remained frozen near the sculpture, awareness settling over her with the weight of something irreversible. Jonah had chosen her without pause, without negotiation, without the internal conflict she had projected onto him. The inheritance was never a threat. Her assumption was. Clara found Jonah outside the library an hour later, standing near the stone steps where smokers gathered between sessions. He wore his work jacket despite the formal setting, hands buried in pockets, shoulders squared against evening cold. She approached without rehearsal, without the careful scripts she typically constructed. Words arrived unfiltered. I overheard something inside. Jonah turned, surprise flickering across his face before settling into something guarded. Clara. About the inheritance. About what you said at the board meeting. His expression shifted, recognition replacing confusion. How much did you hear? Enough. Her voice wavered. Why didn't you tell me? When? The question landed without accusation. You stopped answering calls. Stopped replying to messages. I couldn't tell you anything. Clara's hands clenched at her sides. I thought, at the cafe, when I overheard your family. You were there. Understanding crossed Jonah's face, followed immediately by something sharper. You heard the offer. I heard numbers. I heard conditions. Clara forced herself to meet his gaze. I heard silence, and I assumed the worst. There wasn't silence. Jonah's voice remained steady, but tension threaded through it. I rejected it immediately. Told them I wasn't interested, thanked them for their time, and left. I didn't hear that part. Because you left before I answered. The truth landed with surgical precision. Clara had constructed an entire narrative on incomplete information, filled gaps with her own fears, and dismantled their future based on assumptions rather than facts. Jonah exhaled slowly, steam curling in cold air. You want to understand why I said no? Clara nodded, throat tight. In my family, love came with conditions. Affection required compliance, approval demanded alignment. Everything was leverage. He spoke without bitterness, stating facts the way he might describe building materials. When I met you, you didn't care about money or status or what my last name meant. You loved me without knowing my worth. That was the only real thing I'd ever had. His hands emerged from pockets, gesturing slightly as he spoke. Accepting the inheritance would have contaminated it. Turned love into transaction. Made us accountable to people who measure everything in leverage. Jonah's gaze held hers. I didn't reject the money for you. I rejected it for us, for the truth of what we were before wealth entered the equation. Clara absorbed his words, understanding settling with uncomfortable clarity. Jonah had protected something she hadn't recognized needed protecting. He had refused to let their relationship become another negotiation in a family that treated affection as currency. "I thought you hesitated," Clara whispered. "I didn't. I was wrong." Yes. The admission hung between them, neither absolution nor accusation. Traffic passed on the street below. Inside the library, the fundraiser continued without them, voices rising and falling in polite celebration. Clara waited for relief, for the weight of misunderstanding to lift now that truth had been spoken. Instead, something else arrived. Heavier. More complicated. Gratitude mixed with guilt, appreciation tangled with obligation. Jonah had given up millions. For her. For them. For a love she had abandoned based on faulty assumptions. The magnitude pressed against her chest, restricting breath. "You sacrificed everything," she said quietly. Jonah's expression shifted, something wary entering his eyes. "I chose what mattered." "You chose me over your entire future." "No." His voice sharpened slightly. "I chose my integrity over conditional affection. You were part of that choice, but not the reason for it." Clara heard the distinction, understood it intellectually, but could not shake the sense that debt had entered their relationship, invisible, unnamed, but undeniably present. How did someone return a gift that large? How did love survive being measured against millions? Clara. Jonah stepped closer, not touching, but narrowing the distance between them. "What are you thinking?" She struggled to articulate the shape forming in her mind, the realization that the inheritance's rejection had solved one problem while creating another. "I'm thinking about what happens now. We move forward." Jonah said it simply, as if the path was obvious. "We were good before my family interfered. We can be good again." His certainty frightened her more than his anger would have. He spoke as though they were already aligned, as though her return was inevitable once misunderstanding cleared. The assumption felt like pressure disguised as patience. "You think it's simple," Clara said. "Not simple. But clear." "What if it's not clear for me?" Jonah went still. "What are you saying?" Clara forced herself to continue, words arriving with painful honesty. "I'm saying you made a choice without asking me. A massive, irreversible choice. And now everyone, your family, my family, strangers at fundraisers, they all expect me to honor it with gratitude and loyalty. I don't expect anything. But the choice exists. It sits between us." Clara's hands trembled. "If I stay now, will it be because I want to, or because I owe you something too large to refuse?" Understanding flickered across Jonah's face, followed by something harder to read. "You think my refusing the inheritance trapped you?" "I think it changed everything. Again." Clara's voice cracked slightly. "Before, we were equals. Now there's a sacrifice hanging in the air, and I don't know how to breathe around it." Jonah studied her, his expression unreadable. "So what do you want?" The question landed without malice, but it demanded an answer Clara was not prepared to give. What did she want? To undo the past month? Impossible. To erase the inheritance offer? Too late. To love without obligation? The very thing Jonah claimed to protect, now tainted by the protection itself. "I don't know," Clara admitted. Silence stretched between them, cold and unforgiving. Jonah nodded slowly, as if confirming something he had suspected. "You're still leaving." "I need space." "From me? Or from the choice I made?" "From the story everyone's already written." Clara's words gained strength as clarity emerged. "You're the noble one who gave up everything. I'm the grateful recipient who should return the sacrifice with unwavering devotion. That's the ending people expect. It's the ending you seem to expect." "I don't." "You do." Clara interrupted gently. "You're talking about moving forward as if it's inevitable. As if understanding what happened automatically fixes everything." Jonah's jaw tightened. "I thought the truth mattered." "It does. But truth doesn't erase consequences. Clara stepped backward, creating physical distance to match the emotional chasm opening between them. You chose your integrity. I respect that. But I need to choose mine. Which means what? Clara forced herself to speak the decision forming with terrifying clarity. Which means I'm leaving. Not because I don't love you. Not because I doubt your reasons. But because I need to know that if I come back, it will be from desire, not obligation. Jonah absorbed this, his expression shifting through emotions too quick to name. How long? I don't know. Will you come back at all? Clara's heart splintered at the question. I need the possibility of not coming back to exist. Otherwise, staying means nothing. That doesn't make sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. Clara's voice steadied, conviction replacing uncertainty. Love has to remain optional to remain real. If I can't refuse you, then I can't truly choose you either. Jonah stood motionless, illuminated by streetlights beginning to flicker on as dusk deepened. He appeared carved from something solid and immovable, anchored by principles Clara both admired and could not reconcile with her own survival. So you're walking away, he said finally. I'm claiming the right to walk away. So that if I return, it means something. And if you don't return? Clara had no answer for that. She turned, descending the library steps with measured precision, each footfall deliberate. Behind her, Jonah remained silent, not calling after her, not arguing, respecting the boundary she had drawn even as it severed them. Clara reached the sidewalk and kept walking. She had removed every external villain. The inheritance was rejected. The family's leverage dissolved. Society's expectations rendered irrelevant. What remained was choice, stark, unprotected, terrifyingly her own. Clara Whitman was alone by design now, not misunderstanding. She had claimed agency at the cost of everything familiar. The danger was no longer losing Jonah. It was discovering who she became when no one else decided the story for her. Clara Whitman woke each morning to a life stripped of protective narratives. Jonah was gone. The inheritance no longer cast shadows. Her family had stopped calling with concerned questions, interpreting her silence as healing rather than deliberation. What remained was doubt, quiet, persistent, impossible to dismiss through distraction. She wondered, during the long hours at the storage facility, whether she had destroyed something irreplaceable because she mistook clarity for cowardice. The apartment held her with indifferent familiarity. Pipes knocked overhead. A neighbor's television murmured through thin walls. The single plant near the window survived through neglect, requiring so little it thrived despite her. Clara maintained routines with mechanical precision. She ate meals standing at the counter, reading articles she forgot immediately. She walked routes chosen for efficiency rather than pleasure. She responded to work emails within minutes, filing tasks the moment they arrived on her desk. Nothing collapsed. Nothing required rescue. The absence of crisis felt crueler than catastrophe would have. If something dramatic had occurred, job loss, illness, visible failure, she could point to consequence as evidence her choice demanded justification. Instead, her days proceeded with functional emptiness, offering no proof she was right or wrong. This was the cost she had avoided naming. Choosing freely meant accepting no one would rush in to confirm the choice mattered. The voices arrived in unguarded moments. Her mother's warnings about scarcity echoed during grocery runs where Clara calculated costs with anxious precision. Maya's earlier praise, "You made the practical choice," replayed when Clara lay awake past midnight, staring at ceiling cracks she had memorized months ago. The world did not punish her outright. It simply withheld reward. Colleagues treated her with unchanged politeness. Friends invited her to gatherings where she smiled appropriately and contributed nothing memorable. No one mentioned Jonah. His absence became normalized, absorbed into the landscape of her life without comment. The message was subtle, relentless. She had chosen impractically. Again. Clara recognized the tactic too late. This was how control reasserted itself when no one visibly held the leash. The voices did not shout accusations, they whispered reason. They framed her independence as stubbornness, her solitude as waste, her principles as luxury she could not afford. Some mornings, Clara believed them. For months passed without rescue or reversal. Spring arrived, indifferent to Clara's internal negotiations. Trees budded along her commute. Daylight extended incrementally. The city transformed around her while she remained static, cataloging records in climate-controlled isolation. Jonah did not appear unexpectedly. No letter arrived explaining his perspective or validating her decision. The lack of narrative response was its own test, one Clara had not anticipated needing to survive. She learned to stop checking her phone reflexively. She deleted old messages without rereading them. She avoided the cafe near his worksite not out of pain, but habit, the way one avoids stepping on cracks without remembering why. Time stripped the decision of drama and left only consequence. Slowly, Clara realized the isolation she feared was simply solitude, and solitude, unlike loneliness, contained space for something other than absence. The shift began without announcement. Clara reopened the graduate program application she had abandoned. She read through requirements with attention unclouded by someone else's encouragement. The coursework excited her, not as escape or proof of worth, but because the questions posed interested her genuinely. She submitted the application on a Tuesday afternoon, feeling neither brave nor reckless. At work, she requested a transfer to a different department, not the storage facilities isolation, but a position involving public records research requiring regular interaction. The change frightened her, which clarified it was necessary. Clara bought a chair for her apartment, not practical, not discounted, but beautiful in a way she could not justify beyond wanting it. The purchase felt extravagant and precisely right. These choices accumulated without fanfare. Her life began organizing around curiosity instead of avoidance, intention instead of defense. The difference was subtle but unmistakable. For the first time since leaving Jonah, Clara noticed she was not bracing against anything. She was moving towards something. Desire stopped requiring justification. When Clara's supervisor offered a raise contingent on additional weekend hours, Clara declined without apologizing. The refusal surprised them both. "I have other commitments," Clara said, the lie transparent enough to function as truth. Her supervisor nodded, recalibrating expectations without argument. Clara began stating preferences plainly, declining invitations, requesting specific assignments, admitting when she disagreed with consensus. Wanting became information rather than liability. This was harder than restraint ever was. Without guilt or rebellion to frame it, desire felt exposed. But it also felt clean. She learned to say, "I want," without following it immediately with reasons why she shouldn't. The internal voices that once governed every choice grew quieter, their authority diminished by disuse. Clara began trusting herself not because she was strong, but because she was honest. The inheritance faded into irrelevance over time. Clara could think about the numbers, 500,000, millions more, without her chest tightening. The money became abstract again, distant, stripped of symbolic weight. It no longer represented power or loss or proof of love's validity. Its absence stopped feeling like sacrifice and started feeling like neutrality. This shift mattered more than Clara expected. It signaled the story's original antagonist had lost narrative authority. The inheritance could not define what love cost if love was no longer a transaction requiring balance. She understood now, the threat was never money. It was the belief that worth could be measured against it. Clara attended a lecture on urban development history on a Thursday evening in late autumn. The venue was modest, a community center with folding chairs and poor acoustics. She arrived early, claiming a seat near the middle where she could listen without being noticed. The topic interested her professionally. She had been researching similar permit patterns for a work project. The room filled gradually. Clara scanned the handout, absorbing facts about zoning changes and architectural preservation, when movement near the door caught her peripheral vision. Jonah Hale entered quietly, scanning for empty seats. Clara's breath caught, but she did not look away. He appeared older in subtle ways, lines around his eyes suggesting experience rather than exhaustion. He wore a clean work shirt and canvas jacket, hair slightly longer than she remembered. Their eyes met across the room. Jonah's expression registered recognition without drama. No visible shock. No rehearsed meaning. He nodded once, a gesture acknowledging presence without claiming intimacy, and chose a seat 3 rows ahead. Clara's heart beat steadily, surprisingly calm. The lecture proceeded. Clara absorbed approximately half the content, awareness split between the speaker's words and Jonah's shoulders visible in her sight line. He took notes in a small notebook, his handwriting still illegible from this distance. When the lecture ended, attendees rose slowly, gathering belongings and engaging in polite conversation. Clara stood, uncertain whether to approach or leave quietly. Jonah solved the dilemma by turning, walking directly toward her without hesitation. Clara. Jonah. They stood in the aisle while people flowed around them toward refreshments. I didn't realize you were interested in urban planning, Jonah said. Work project. Permit research. Clara's voice steadied as she spoke. You. Restoration work involves understanding original zoning. Helps avoid violations. He gestured toward the exit. Want to talk outside? It's loud in here. Clara nodded. They stepped into cool evening air, the community center's front steps deserted except for a smoker finishing a cigarette near the railing. Streetlights illuminated uneven pavement. Traffic passed with mechanical regularity. Jonah did not immediately speak. He stood with hands in pockets, shoulders relaxed, waiting without pressure. Clara noticed the absence first, no weight of expectation, no unspoken obligation hovering between them. Jonah carried no visible burden of sacrifice or quiet suffering. He was present but not leaning toward her, engaged but not claiming space he had not been offered. The neutrality startled her more than anger or longing would have. How have you been? Jonah asked finally. Rebuilding. Clara chose the word carefully. Learning what I want without needing to defend it. Jonah nodded slowly. That sounds hard. It was. It is. She met his gaze directly. But necessary. I'm glad. The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. No bitterness. No implication she owed him explanation or apology. He simply meant it. What about you? Clara asked. Working. Took on a project restoring a historic theater downtown. Jonah's expression warmed slightly. It's good work. Complicated, but good. They stood in companionable silence, the conversation requiring no urgency. Clara realized this was the first time she had seen Jonah without projecting sacrifice onto him. He was not a symbol of obligation or loss, only a man with whom she shared history. The relief surprised her. There was no sense of being cornered by meaning, no narrative pressure insisting certain outcomes. Whatever happened next would be her choice alone. The realization steadied her. Can I buy you coffee? Jonah asked, his tone suggesting genuine question rather than expectation. Clara checked herself for fear and found none. No panic. No calculation about what acceptance might imply or require. Only curiosity about whether she wanted to continue this conversation. She did. Yes. They walked 3 blocks to a cafe Clara had never visited, neutral territory, free of association. Inside, they ordered at the counter, divided the bill without discussion, and chose a table near the window. The conversation flowed without performance. Jonah described challenges with the theater restoration. Clara explained her graduate program application. They discussed the lecture, debated preservation priorities, laughed about permit bureaucracy's absurdities. No one mentioned the inheritance. No one referenced the months of separation or the reasons behind it. The past existed, acknowledged but not governing. Near the end of their second coffee, Jonah set down his cup and met Clara's eyes. I'm not going to ask what this means. Clara appreciated the restraint. I don't think I could answer. Fair. He smiled slightly. But I'm glad you're here. So am I. The admission surprised her with its simplicity. She was glad. Not obligated, not guilty, not performing closure or reunion. Glad. They parted outside the cafe with tentative plans to attend another lecture the following month. No promises beyond that. No pressure to define what they were becoming. Clara walked home through autumn darkness, her breath visible in cold air. The city moved around her, cars passing, windows lit, lives proceeding in parallel without intersection.